And I got a lot of flack because my makeup melted while I was singing and dancing. I was sweating. And I was thinking, yeah, and it's okay for guys to sweat, but if I sweat, it's like, So, you go through all these changes and you think, what is rock? And I think rock is what you make it, and it's the energy. And it's handing down the torch, and when you get to the mountain, you say it, and continuing your work. I think people like Tina Turner, who changed the phrasing for women in the beginning of her career. I think Mavis, Wanda Jackson. I got in a fight with a elder statesman of the folk pop world because he was going to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I says, yeah, what about the women? Where's the women? And he said, well, there were no women in the beginning. And I said, what about Wanda Jackson? And he said, and I was like, to the moon, Alice. But I just kind of, I always ignored that, and I always figured, you know what? Then what we really need to do is to turn on the little girls. Let's focus on getting them playing instruments and, not just having to be the isolated chick singer or the female singer that the joke is, knock, knock, who's there? Up, it's the female lead singer. She lost the key, and you have to tell her when to come in. That's not funny anymore. So I decided that, from a young age, whatever a man could do, I was going to do. Because whatever civil liberties, what was good for the goose was good for the gander. And I tried to put women in a position of power, even in the most mundane things. Like I did this song, I Drove All Night. I only chose the song, where they sent it to me. They're like, oh. And I listened and I said, you know what's great about this song? I've never heard a song with a woman singing about driving. It's always the guy's driving and the woman's like, ooh, let me count you off. And everybody race, like, hey, So I thought, this is good, because in the subtlest way, you're putting it in their head to drive. And not that girls don't drive, but just to empower them. And, girls just want to have fun. When Rick Chertoff kept saying, think of what it could mean, I don't know that he was thinking an anthem. And I was thinking a revolution. So the symbolism that started to come together in the picture, the chains, I put a chain around my ankle to imply that women lived like slaves. Even if they were put on a pedestal, it was slavery, because just the whole system, the government, the laws, religion, and family life as we knew it before the 90s, and the man who was in touch with more of his feminine side became popular. I just thought I should imply all of these things. The chain around my hip, to me, symbolized what women bear and have borne through the world, that life came through them, and they were not permitted the same civil liberties as men were. And this was a chain then to bear. And the chain on your ankle, because you can't, look at the shoes that, not that I don't love shoes, hey. But, I just thought everything for me was symbolic. And I think there's going to be young women like this all the time. You can't stop us. We're still coming. And there's the internet. So there aren't any more. There's always going to be a brick wall, but there's always a way around it. And the internet's been a great tool. It's a great tool for me to research everything. And I think for young girls who are coming up, there's going to be more and more and more of them. And the balance will change, and then there'll be more and more young guys. But it's always like that. It's always going back and forth. You can always count on change.